We are here. We have made it to the top 10 games of all time, mine and yours. I'm sorry, by watching this video, I've overwritten any of your favorite games with mine, but don't worry, these were better anyway, so I've actually done you a favor. Welcome. If you're new to the channel, well, now you can know a little bit about me and my gaming personality, and if these are games that you enjoy, congratulations, you've found your board game guru. If these are games that you hate, congratulations, you found your board game guru. In either case, welcome to the channel and let's get talking. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I was waiting until I hit that 10K subscriber milestone. Thank you to everyone again who has subscribed and commented and built this community. I'm just like so friggin' grateful. I'm so grateful to all of you. You're incredible. If you haven't subscribed, well, you can do so now and then you can rewind it and you'll see how grateful I am to you. Yeah, so to honor that milestone, I wanted to do my first official top 20 games of all time, and we got rid of the garbage games, and now we're on to the cream of the crop with the top 10 games of all time. And I'm just so proud of this list. I look at this list and I think, yeah, that's a good list. You know, there's something that's so satisfying about just looking at your favorite games and imagining and playing them and thinking about all the good times you've had with them. And that's how I feel about these. I don't know how much this will change in the coming years, but right now in the year 2023, April 2023, these are my top 10 games of all time, and let's get into them. Number 10 is a game called Barony. Barony, I've talked about on this channel a bit. I put out a review on this, full review if you want to see how it plays, and I had to put out that review because nobody was friggin' talking about it, and I think it's so much fun. This one is like, it's best at 2 players. It's a 2-player game. If you like that head-to-head sort of skirmishy game, yeah, check it out. It's by the designer of Splendor, Marc-Andre, and on your turn you can do 6 actions. You can do 6 things. You can move your people around, you can turn your people into houses and take points from the land, variable points depending upon where you went. You can upgrade those houses into bigger houses. You can spend the points that you had and move up on the points track. And if you move up on that 4 times, the end of the game is triggered and you probably win. You can move your people onto someone else and you can pillage their land and steal points from them. And so I kind of describe it as Splendor meets Catan meets chess or Go or something of that tactical nature. Super fun at 2. I would still play this at 3 and 4, honestly. But at 3 and 4, you can kind of get into that king-making scenario, and if there's different levels of skill, that can really swing the game. But at 2 players, man, this is just so fun. I'll play this game any day of the week. It plays very quickly. You can bang it around in it says 45 minutes on the box, and I buy that. It feels like a tactical version of Splendor in terms of building the most efficient engine while having some interaction with your opponent of guarding pivotal spots on the board. Yeah, super awesome game. Absolutely love it. Oh, I treasure these top 10. I really do. I cherish these top 10. And I'm so happy to be a champion for Barony because I just love it so much. Another game that I want to play a bajillion times more, 1 bajillion, and I still think I wouldn't fully uncover the delight of what's about to happen in this game, and that is Anachrony by Mindclash. This is the only Mindclash game that I've ever played, and honestly, when I play anything else from Mindclash, you'll probably end up seeing it on this list. Mindclash do chonky Euros in a way that I have yet to see any other company do, and Anachrony is like the cream of the crop of complex worker placement games. If you like worker placement, you owe it to yourself to try this game. If you like variable powers and lots of weird iconography, well then yeah, you want to try this game. Basically, I talked a little bit about in the last one about how Brass kind of makes loans exciting to me, and this almost does the same. I think the loans in Brass are more exciting, but here, the premise of this is that you're sending things back to yourself from the future. You're trying to kind of change the future, even though you know at a certain point doomsday will happen and you're going to have to get the heck out of this planet. But before you do, you want to prepare as much as you can and evacuate all the citizens that you want to evacuate. It's got workers with different abilities. Every time you have a worker, if you put in a certain spot, it'll give you a bonus. And so you're trying to navigate getting all those bonuses. You're also trying to navigate paying yourself off from the future. So once you get to a certain point in the future, you got to send someone back in time to give your past self the resources that you already used. And so then you have to earn them at some point in the future to send them back in time, or else there's going to be a glitch in the matrix and you're going to have to basically sacrifice somebody to the time void in order to correct that mistake. It's so good. We have on this channel some death matches, room aboard death matches. They're basically like March Madness tournaments, but for board games on a different theme every month. We do that voting over on our Patreon. Anacrity won the Crunchy Euro death match, and I was rooting for it the entire time. As soon as I played this game, for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, this is special. And it's given me that feeling every time. I love the crunch. I love the tightness of the games. I love the different factions and their different abilities. I love deciding how many mechs to power up so I can send them out into the desolate landscape with my workers, or use my workers in my own private board that I've developed. Oh, it's just so good. It's so good. Love Anacrity. I only have this. This isn't the Essential Edition. You'll see this box is a little bit bigger. I think you really only need the Essential Edition. They took out a bunch of different modules, which, honestly, I haven't even played with them. I'm just talking about base Anacrity that's made it go up so high for me. And if the modules do anything different, let me tell you, we're gonna have some climbing of the charts on our hands. Yeah, Anacrity, so much fun. That's my number 9. My number 8 is my favorite large group game. I've also talked about it on the channel. I did a little bit of a review on it because it came out with a new edition. So I have the new edition here. If you can find the old edition, honestly, that's the better version to get. But this new edition is still great. It just cost less when it was the Resistance Avalon, and now it is just called Avalon. Avalon is a big social deduction game. It's my favorite social deduction game of all time. And that's because nobody is eliminated. It is so much better, hands down, than Werewolf. Werewolf players can come and fight me. I don't care. And I enjoy it quite a lot more than Blood on Clock Tower as well, because of the accessibility and because I generally play this as the base game. This new version added in a bunch of new different roles. The premise of the game is that there's a good team, bad team, like every social deduction game ever. And the bad team know who each other are, and the good team don't know anything. And so you're going to be going on these quests and putting in a success or a fail. And the bad team will obviously want to put in some fails, but they might sometimes put in a success and blend in, and then put in a fail later, and so descent. That's it. But because nobody gets eliminated, it's all based around these quests, and it's the first team to get to 3 points basically wins, everybody stays engaged the whole time. Even if somebody gets outed, you still have a way to control the game and to sow misinformation and to try to do some double bluffs. And I just love that nobody gets eliminated from off the bat. Blood on Clock Tower is okay, but I find that there are too many roles, and also the storyteller can be very selfish. And I've played a couple games where the storyteller was more interested in having fun than setting up a scenario where the group could have fun. In Avalon, you don't need a GM to run it. The game runs itself. You have a good team, bad team. It's so simple. And even though there are a bunch of different roles in here, I just like the base game. I really do. The Resistance Avalon was everything I could ever need. I'm happy that I do have all the roles in here because I like it and I play it quite a bit. But I wouldn't need them. I've played this game over 100 times, for sure. It's not a quick game. It can be. When you play with my group, it's not a quick game. So that's at least over 200 hours of Avalon, and I don't regret a single tear-stained minute of them. My number 7 is probably the newest game on my own personal list. It's the newest game for me, but this one just blew me out of the park in terms of how much fun it was. This was a surprise to me. This was something that I honestly backed on Kickstarter on a whim, and I'm so glad I did. I said, you know what, this kind of looks like Diablo if it was a board game. And that's exactly what it is. In one of the biggest boxes that I have, this is Massive Darkness 2. It's awesome. It's my favorite dungeon crawler. And the reason why, I have a whole like long discussion with Zach, my friend Zach, about the differences between Massive Darkness and Zombicide and the pros and the cons of each. Zach likes Zombicide more, I think, but I like Massive Darkness more, and I love it because of the complexity of the characters. Every character is its own little mini game that you get to play, and they're all fun. Inexplicably, they're all fun. Generally, in games like this, you're gonna get some duds, but they're all fun. I just played a game of this today, and it had been a while since I played it, and we got a bunch of rules wrong. Well, we didn't. I got a bunch of rules wrong because I was the one teaching it, and I realized halfway through, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why it was a little bit easier. But I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I got so many rules wrong. I don't want to talk about it. But the fact that I can play this properly and have a great time, and play this incorrectly and still have a great time, speaks volumes to the quality of game here. This was also a really good value Kickstarter. You got a bunch of new classes. The expansions that I would get here, if you're interested, are the different classes, because they're all very fun. And there was like an upgrade pack, which gave you a bajillion monsters. I know I keep using the word bajillion, but I'm accurate with that sentence every time. Give you a bajillion monsters and different abilities and different things to fight. I love, it feels like Diablo, the board game. That's all I can do to sell it. If that's something you're interested in, check this out. It is a beast, and I've put a lot of work into making setup efficient, and it still took me like 25 minutes to set up. So keep that in mind, but I don't mind doing it because it is such a fun experience. That's my number 7. I can't wait to talk about my number 6 in an equally big box. I'm just kidding, it's the smallest box. And this like is an unironic thing. This game is so good. This game is so cheap that everyone should have a copy. This game, Dutch Blitz. Dutch Blitz is my number 6 game of all time, and it's just a very simple card game. It is speed solitaire. That's all it is. If you like speed games, great. If you hate speed games, don't get it. But if you like speed games, great. Everyone has their own deck of 10 cards, and you're trying to put those in the middle. But you can only put cards in the middle going from 1 to 10 in different piles, different stacks of their color. But if I put a 1 yellow in, you can put a 2 yellow in. No problem. And you're going as fast as you can. You have 3 little sections on your own where you can play a little solitaire game, where you can put descending down in different alternating colors. Alternating boy, girl, which represent basically like the black suits and the red suits. I've played this game so many times. You get 1 point for every card in the middle. You lose 2 points for every card you don't get out from your big stack of 10. First to 75 points wins. I will often start with this game with like, yeah, let's play some Dutch Blitz to warm up. And then we don't play anything else for the night. And I've got stacks of games behind me, boxes filled with stuff, and yet like the enjoyment that I can get from this awesome speed card game is just next level. It's so fun. I have started playing this game at 8 p.m. and that we've finished at 5 a.m. Literally, not even a joke. I've played this for 9 hours straight and loved every single second of it. If you don't like speed games, don't be interested, but it's like so cheap. This is technically the expansion pack. The original is the green box, but all it is you have different symbols on the back of the cards that you can use to sort them, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which pack you get. I got the expansion pack because my friends had the base pack, and I thought, okay, great. Then we might be able to get an 8-player game of Dutch Blitz in, which is just absolute madness. It's just bonkers. Even if you play this incorrectly, which people tried to convince me to play their incorrect way, and it was the wrong way. People said, oh, I've played this game before. I said, no, you haven't. You're playing a brutal, disgusting little version of it. Even playing that way, still was able to have an awesome, fun time. Yeah, love Dutch Blitz. Highly recommend, like all of these games on this list. On to my number 5. Also within arm's reach. Beside Trains, the glorious Trains, this one's even better. This is the game Unfair. I love this game. Anytime they come out with a new expansion for this game, it is an immediate purchase for me. Don't care what it costs. Okay, I do care what it costs. If it costs like $100, I might pull the trigger because I like this game so much. It takes a very certain mean person to enjoy this game, though. Keep that in mind, and I'm really revealing myself to be an awful human being. Let's put this here. Yeah, that's better. What it is, you're basically building a theme park. Little theme park tableau. You can build attractions, and then you can build accoutrements to those attractions. You can also get blueprints to fulfill, which are basically just objective cards. That's it. You also have these cards, and here's where the contentious part comes in, where there's a good thing that you can use for yourself, or there's a really awful, horrible thing that you can do to someone else. Sometimes it may feel unfair, but then you just point to the box cover and go, eh, eh, eh. When I play this game with my girlfriend, we're not allowed to use those cards. We can only use the thing that benefits us. In a two-player game, I mean, usually you're going to do the thing that benefits you anyway, but in a two-player game, you sometimes want to do the unfair thing because, well, that's part of the game. The little bit of take that is targeted so that you can foil one of their objectives, right? Like, that's part of the strategy. Generally, it's better to do the good thing for yourself, which is why I like this game. It's not so much on the take that. You can have those moments, you can have that fear, but it often isn't the optimal move to do the take that, and sometimes is. And so I like that aspect of it because you're mainly just building this fun little tableau. You take a deck of cards, a themed deck for every player. There's the pirate theme, the jungle theme. These are all the different themes of the theme parks. And then you smash them together, and those are the card market that you get to pull from. But it's just such an immensely satisfying tableau builder, super fun, super colorful and funny, gives that roller coaster tycoon feel. I love this game so much. I love supporting the company. I love that they have planned out to do 26 different decks, all with their own little tweaks to them, so that when you mash them together, they all interact in a little different way. All of their expansions, there's going to be one for every letter of the alphabet. So you have the B movie, you have the dinosaur, you have the alien theme park, you have the western theme park, you have the ninja theme park. Coming out, there's going to be the ocean theme park, which is going to add a whole new element. There's going to be the kaiju, where there's apparently going to be some giant monsters attacking your theme park, and you're trying to desperately build it up while also fighting them off. I'm not sure how that one's going to go, but I trust their design process so much, and really love the process of building that tableau, of just building that nice thing in front of you, and still needing to pay attention to what other people are doing because of that interactive element. There's a version called Fun Fair where you just, it takes out the unfair part, and I think you lose something by playing it that way. I think you do. You lose a little bit of that tension, but even still, I play that way a lot, and I still love it. Still absolutely my number 5 game of all time. Now, my number 4 game, I don't own. I don't, because my friend Zach owns it, and it's a game for a large group of people that takes a long time, and it makes no sense for both of us to own it, because, well, I know he's one of the only people who's nuts enough to want to play it with me for 6 hours, and that is Dune, the board game. The regular Dune. This is my number 4 game of all time. It is absolutely incredible. It is an incredible experience. Consistently, one thing that pervades all of these games is that I consistently can't wait until I get to play them again. And that's exciting. When you have that anticipation. And I have to play a lot of different games because, now being on YouTube and now being forced to review stuff, that only builds that anticipation even more. And Dune is one of those things where it is everything that I wanted Twilight Imperium to be. It is that epic, long, 6-hour game that you'll tell stories about, and you'll get everybody involved, and it will make for a memorable day. And it also has variable player powers, which I love. Variable player powers are my favorite mechanic. And so these are just amazing. Atreides knows everybody's card. Every time somebody gets a card, they'll be like, let me look at that first. All right, let me write that down. Now I know you got that. And then when the battles are going on, they're like, hey, who wants to know what they're going to play? Give me some spice. I'll tell you. When you spend spice, it goes all towards the Spicing Guild. They're just like, yeah, we're the Spicing Guild. We own all the spice. When you use it, it goes back to us. When you spend money, it goes to the Emperor. The Bene Gesserit, and I tell this all the time, I say this always talking about this game because I think it perfectly represents the sort of zaniness that happens. They can predict before the game begins who will win and on what turn. There's only 10 possible turns, and it takes 6 hours. A lot happens. And if they predict correctly, if they force that to happen, if they're like, I'm predicting that Zach will win on turn 5. And I set Zach up to win on turn 5, and Zach pulls the trigger and wins on turn 5, and he's feeling so triumphant, I can then flip over to the card where I wrote before, I was like, Zach will win on turn 5. And I win as the Bene Gesserit. It's just so funny to me. Combine that with a really tense, diplomatic game where you're fighting tooth and nail over a very small map, and trying to control choke points and really clawing your way. Every fight means something. Every loss of a soldier means something. It's just a very exciting game, and one that I've loved and look forward to playing again, so that's why it is my number 4. My number 3 game of all time is Everdell. I just have the base game. I have the Listed Collector's Edition. My mom got this for me for Christmas, one Christmas, and I was so happy because I played it at friends' houses and wanted a copy of my own. Everdell is a worker placement game where you're also building a tableau. It's a little bit reminiscent of the game Seasons, if you've played Seasons. Seasons would be close to making it on this list, maybe. But I don't actually own a physical copy. I played on Board Game Arena. This one, I want to have this physical copy and play a bunch because the combos that you chain things together feels so good. The theme is so accessible that you can bring new people in, but the combos here of building this tableau, this 15-card tableau that at the beginning just feels so hard to accomplish. It feels so vast, and you're like, I'm never going to fill this up. I can't do anything. And then as you go through the game, you get more and more workers, and you get more and more resources and more access to different spots. You then start running out of room, and you say, dang it, how can I get rid of some of these cards that I bought early on? I love Everdell. I think the production quality here is so good. I think the card and the tableau building is so much fun. And again, this is only with the base game. There's a big box of Everdell that's out there that I've really contemplated because I knew how far up on my top 10 it is. I was like, maybe I should get everything. But like legit, I still just love the base game. I do. And it just won the best expansions, like expansions that enhance the experience. And I think that was a lie. I think people were voting just because Everdell's a really good game. And you don't actually need the expansions whatsoever. But this is a game that I feel like I will never get tired of. And that happens, right? Like, especially when you play a lot of games, we kind of go through this phase of, yeah, played it, okay, done with it. Played it twice, never, don't have to play it again for another year. You know what I mean? And for Everdell, I would be sad if I would be really sad if I only played this twice and then didn't get to play it again for a year. I really love playing this. It plays really well. I find it all player counts, plays great at 2. My girlfriend really enjoys it, and I really enjoy it as well. And it's awesome that like this is kind of a meld. This both hits in the tops, and so I'm so excited that it does because this is going to get a lot of plays. And I like it so much that I worry every time I play. I'm like, oh, is this the time where I've played too much Everdell? And it never is. So that's why, yeah, it's my number 3. 2 more. If you're a fan of the channel, you probably know what's coming. You may not know the order. You probably know the order. But honestly, between these next 2, it's so close. It's so close. And likely the next time I do this number 2 will be the number 1, just because I love it. And I want to highlight it even more. And I think people will take more note if it's number 1. Really. But I want to emphasize that as I grab it off the shelf. Because it is so close, I have to have my number 1 be my number 1 because it's been my number 1 for a while, but this is just, it's so close. It's like millimeters away of depending on what I like the best. I love this game so much. It's based off of one of my favorite animes of all time, Attack on Titan, the deck building game by Cryptozoic. Matt Hyra did the design for this game. Get out of there, Everdell. We don't want you anymore. Attack on Titan is just an incredible anime, but this game is in the tops of like the most thematic games of all time too, if you're a fan of the anime, and I am. Every single card makes sense when you know the anime. Every single card's action and what they do and how they interact with the world makes sense on that like incredible theme level. And then to combine that, you also have an awesome deck building with a board experience that's like a tower defense that is so hard and so punishing until you get the hang of it, and then you want to make it even harder. You have 5 sections of wall, and titans are going to appear on the outside of the wall, and items are going to appear on the inside of the wall. And I think this is the main reason why I love it so much, that I think it's so innovative, is that normally in deck builders, you can just buy whatever cards you want. Here, you actually have to have the movement in your hand to get to the spots where those items have appeared. You're like, oh, that appeared friggin' 4 spaces away. I gotta use 4 pieces of movement to get over there to even buy that thing. And meanwhile, if you move over there, then uh-oh, a Titan has now appeared on the other side. And so even though you might have the strength in your hand to really hit that Titan and defeat it, you just basically buy it off. Power buys you cards and also attacks Titans. You might not be able to get over there. And so your teammate might have to go when your teammate really needs to build their deck. It feels like a really true cooperative experience because you can either try to build your decks uniformly, or someone might be in the right place at the right time to just keep killing Titans, and then their deck hasn't been developed, and so later on they're scrambling and they need to get better cards into their deck, and you have to deal with navigating that. And then you have one character who's really strong and one character who's playing like a support deck role. The different types of decks you can build on the fly feel so fun. In addition to the variance of the Titans, you don't know what's going to come up, and they all have different abilities. One Titan won't let you even hit them in their space unless you've got enough movement. And so you really have been needing to stock up on that movement, or figure out creative ways to pull back and fire your cannons and then go in for the kill and deal those additional damage. It's so hard, but because it is so hard, it feels so satisfying when you get it under control and when you crack that puzzle and when you really start to experience it to its full potential. If you like deck builders, find a copy. If you like the anime, find a copy. If you like punishing co-ops, find a copy. I also hesitate putting this up so high because I feel like it hasn't had a print run in a long time, but I'm hoping that if I continue to talk about it, maybe, just maybe, people will talk about it a little bit more as well and keep looking for a copy. Anytime I see a copy of this, I buy it because I want to have it readily available in case people want to play it, or in case any of my cards were to get damaged or anything like that. So I have 2 copies of this right now in my house, and I would happily purchase more. I mean, within reason, right? Like, also, don't break the bank on this. I don't want to hype it up, and then people are like, I've got a copy, I'll sell it to you for $100. It's very fun, but don't let that person make $100 off of you, you know? Even still, it's just like, I love how hard it is, and I just love having to move on that market. I think that's my number one thing that I love about it is having to move around on that market to get things. Because there's so many times where the thing you need is just out of your grasp, or if you move too far away, you won't be there because you're the only one who has defense cards and who can defend against ambushes when the Titans pop up. You can get wrecked really, really easily, but when you win, it feels great. And I've just had so much fun playing this game. And I love that. I love that my girlfriend bought this for me because we're a fan of the IP. We liked the anime, and she saw, oh, there's a game. Cool, I wonder if it's any good. And it just clicked on so many levels. Not to mention the theme for sure enhances it for me because it's one of the best TV shows of all time. And so with that, we've made our way to our number 1 game. This was the first Kickstarter that I ever backed. I read through the rulebook and I thought, wow. Every page I thought, yeah, this is cool. And then I got it. And it delivered on every single one of those promises. It is why I call Eric Lang my favorite designer, because he designed my favorite game of all time. I guess not Hydra. That's a different thing. I guess Matt Hyra, you might be my second favorite designer of all time. If that's how that works. No, I think Eric Lang is just a genius. Eric Lang is a master at creating games that create interaction above the table. And that's what this does. Rising Sun is number 1, and this should be no surprise to a lot of people if you've watched this channel before. I reference it as my number 1 game. I've been delaying on putting out a couple other videos that I filmed because, I keep referencing it as my favorite game of all time, and I wanted to keep some mystery around in case you had all forgotten. Keep you watching until the very end. Rising Sun, to me, is a masterpiece. I have a full review on it. I did a full review because I wanted to talk about it. It's a game that I think earns its very expensive price point. It's like $100 and something bucks. It's like $120 Canadian. It's a very expensive game. But the experience you get here is just monumental. if you've never played Rising Sun, check out the full review because I go into a lot more detail. But here are the coolest notes of why I like it. Negotiation has the follow mechanic, which is always interesting, keeps everybody engaged. You can have formal alliances that you can then break. You're also going to be fighting with a blind bidding, where there's so much tension of revealing what you bid, because whatever the winner bid, it goes to the losers, and they take all that money. Whatever the losers bid, it goes away. And so you want the winner to bid big if you don't think you're going to win. And if you do think you're going to win, well, you want to bid on the razor-thin edge. But that makes such an interesting back and forth of, okay, I know they're going to play 3 coins because they need to play 3 coins mathematically to win this. So then I won't play anything. But then they know I may not play anything and may just play 1 coin. So maybe I do throw in 2 coins to potentially beat them, right? It gives this back and forth that's just so exquisite and makes me feel so engaged every time I play this game. I've played this game, it's a 3 to 4 hour game. I've played it at least 50 times, and I'm not sick of it yet. And my group, we would continue to play it. I think this sort of speaks to my evolution as a Catan gamer. You know, Catan was my gateway game, and I think this kind of appeals to a lot of the same, it scratches a lot of the same itches in a certain way of that negotiation, a lot of talk around the table, a lot of cutthroat decision making. Everything, every aspect of this game is fun, even when I'm overtired and somebody betrays me for literally 0 reason to benefit another person around the table for no reason. Just they were winning and they wanted them to win more because they were unable to actually like add and make and do any math to see that, you know, that player was in a more optimal position. But that's part of the game. That's part of the politics that it creates around the table, the conversation that it creates around the table, and how you have to fight tooth and nail to really come out on top. That's my #1 game of all time, Rising Sun. I love it to death, but I love all of these games to death too. Let me know what your favorite games are. If there's any overlap on the list, if you hate anything on my list, that's okay too. I hope that this was enjoyable to look at and to listen to. If you have any questions about any of these games, of course, I'm always happy to answer them because I just have so much fun with them every time. And I hope desperately that if you end up getting any of these, that you have the same amount of fun as I do. Thank you so much for watching. I'm thrilled to share this part of my soul with you all. It's how it feels, honestly. It's a bit cheesy, but it is how it feels. I was so excited to share the top lists, right? Whenever somebody asks me, what's your favorite game? I can't wait to talk about games and more things. And I'm just really happy to have been able to share that with you all. So thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe down below. When I get to 100K, then I'll do my top 100, right? That'll happen pretty soon. Anyway, my name is Chris George. You know me. I don't have a catchphrase. But I do have the knowledge that it's 12:30 at night, and I can't play any of these tonight because everyone else has gone to bed. But soon! Thanks for being here.